Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling Admiral Tianem, specifically as he appears in Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin.
That's right. We got some great source material from a listener on this, focusing just on the origin stake.
Exactly. So our mission is to figure out Tianem's role here because, Yasuhiko's origin often puts its own spin on things compared to other Gundam timelines.
Definitely. It's a reinterpretation, so nuances matter. We need to see what the origin itself says about him.
Okay, so basics first. In The Origin, who is Admiral Tianem?
Right. So he's Earth Federation Forces, High Command. His rank is consistently Admiral, particularly in the materials covering the lead up to and including the Battle of Loum. He's definitely top brass.
Top brass, got it. And what was he actually commanding? Like, what kind of fleet are we talking about?
He had the Second Fleet, a major space fleet for the Federation, probably based near Side 5, which is, the Loum area, before the big battle.
And was it a big fleet?
Oh, yeah. Sources suggest something like 15 Magellan-class battleships. Those are the big capital ships. Maybe 30 Salamis-class cruisers, 40 missile frigates, and about 30 supply ships. A serious force.
15 Magellans. Wow. That's huge for the time. I think I read somewhere that fleet alone was maybe comparable to Zeon's whole combat fleet back then.
That's the assessment, yeah.
Yeah.
It really highlights the Federation's initial material advantage. They had the numbers.
Which sets up the Battle of Loum, right? The Federation thinks they can just overwhelm Zeon.
Pretty much. The plan was simple enough. Tianem's Second Fleet links up with General Revel's main fleet, and they deliver a knockout blow. Zeon, though, led by Dazzle Zabi, was planning an ambush. Use mobile suits on Revel while Dazzle keeps Tianem busy.
Okay, and this is where the Origin manga and the OVA adaptation kind of differ in the details, isn't it?
Exactly. There's a key difference in how that initial fight plays out.
Yeah.
In the manga, Dazzle tries to engage Tianem directly, but finds himself outranged by those Magellan cannons.
So what does he do?
He does something pretty wild. He makes this desperate charge through Revel's fleet as it's arriving. Just punches right through him, causes massive confusion right before the Zeon mobile suits hit Revel's main force.
Whoa. And Tianem.
In the manga version. His fleet's mostly okay. They don't really get drawn into that chaotic mess initially.
And the OVA.
A bit different. Dazzle engages Tianem briefly, then makes more of a tactical retreat. The MS ambush on Revel happens after that, without Dazzle's disruptive charge through the fleet first. And Tianem doesn't really pursue Dazzle aggressively in the OVA.
Interesting tactical difference there. Now, Tianem's seeing all this unfold. He must have realized Zeon was up to something tricky, right? With the colony attacks, too?
He did. One thing the sources agree on is that Tianem correctly read Zeon's attacks on the Side 5 colonies as a feint, diversion.
Trying to split the Federation forces.
Exactly. So Tianem, thinking strategically, holds back his main force. He doesn't want to fall for the trick. Meanwhile, Revel does send some ships to deal with the colony attacks.
Which, sounds like it might have made Revel's main body weaker.
Inadvertently, yes. While Tianem's caution was logical, it meant Revel's fleet was perhaps less concentrated when the main Zeon mobile suit assault hit.
Okay, so Revel's fleet gets hammered, Revel himself is captured, and then Tianem makes his big move, or rather, non-move, the retreat.
Right, and this is probably the most debated part of his actions at Loum. His Second Fleet, especially in the manga's account, is still largely intact. Powerful. But he orders a general retreat.
Leaving Side 5 undefended.
Effectively, yes. Abandoning the sector, allowing Zeon to commit atrocities there later. It's a huge moment, strategically and, well, morally, too. It raises big questions about his leadership.
Yeah, it really makes him look, incompetent or just incredibly cautious to a fault.
That's the perception, definitely. Either overly cautious or maybe just trapped in an older way of thinking about warfare. Big ships, fleet actions, maybe not fully grasping the impact of mobile suits and Zeon's asymmetric tactics.
Like he was playing checkers while Dazzle and Char were playing chess.
Something like that. His passivity is a stark contrast to Dazzle's aggression or Char's effectiveness. In the origin, Tianem sort of embodies that initial stiffness in the Federation High Command, the inability to adapt quickly. It shows why just having more ships wasn't enough.
Makes sense. What about his ship? Did the Origins specify if he was on the Titan? I know that comes up in other timelines.
It's interesting you mention that. While other Gundam lore might link him to the Titan, the sources specifically for the Origin don't actually name his flagship during the Battle of Loum.
Really? Not at all.
Nope. We know he had those 15 Magellans, so he was surely on one of them. But unlike Revel's flagship, the Ananke, Tianem's isn't identified.
Maybe that's deliberate, to keep the focus off him as an individual hero or failure and more on the system he represents.
That's a plausible reading, yeah. It keeps him as more of the symbol of the Federation's military apparatus at that moment.
So pulling it all together, what's Tianem's real significance in the Origins narrative? He seems important, but maybe not in a flashy way.
He's crucial, but functionally so. His decisions and his indecision at Loum directly contributed to that massive Federation defeat. His retreat opened the door for Zeon's temporary dominance, indirectly helped someone like Char rise fast, and created that leadership crisis that eventually led to things like Operation V and Rebel's famous "Zeon is exhausted" speech later on.
So he highlights the Federation's initial flaws, the things they needed to overcome.
Precisely. He shows why they needed a wake-up call, why new strategies and maybe new leaders were essential. His actions, or lack thereof, set the stage for much of what follows. The retreat, especially, created this vacuum and this sense of Federation weakness that allowed more radical figures or successful commanders like Char to gain influence quickly. That loss reshaped things internally for the Federation military.
Wow. Okay, that puts Tianem in a really interesting, complex light within the Origin. He's not just some background admiral.
Not at all. His role, passive as it might seem at times, has huge ripple effects through the story.
Definitely. Well, this was a great deep dive. So for everyone listening, here's something to chew on. We know Tianem had this incredibly powerful fleet, largely untouched. Beyond just tactics or maybe adherence to old doctrines, what other pressures, political, maybe even personal, might explain why a commander with that much firepower would choose retreat at such a critical moment?
Good question. Lots to think about there regarding command decisions under pressure.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.